Hello and welcome, my name is Groudon and this is Steam Sequence, a series where I complete Steam games in alphabetical order to hopefully uncover some diamonds in the rough. Unfortunately, this means playing through a lot of garbage. Today, we'll be playing Dropblox. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to work in a post office where you're the only employee during the holiday season and when the rules of physics are unpredictable? Well, if you said yes to that question, you're likely a bit strange, but Dropblox might somehow be the game for you. Dropblox is developed and published by Eco Games, and at a first glance of the Steam store page, seems like it may have potential. It might be the first game that we've looked at that is actually fun. It has a colourful and simple art style, and overall feels very clean. In terms of gameplay, judging from the trailer at least, it looks like a simplified version of something like Overcooked, where you're battling to serve customers in time, possibly combined with a physics-based version of Tetris. And after this glowing review from however you say this name, apparently it's Visiting Joe in Russian. Huh. The more you know. Well, anyway, judging from the review, we're certainly in for something. This is one of the more expensive games we've looked at so far, coming in at a full price of $6.49. So, let's pay the entry fee and get it downloaded and installed. All 64 megabytes of it. I'm not sure if I should be worried or not. After launching the game, I am a little bit impressed actually. This is definitely the most complete looking game we've seen so far. It has a proper title screen with animations and music. The UI is pretty basic, but hey, I'll take what I can get. A quick look at the options shows that we have resolution controls, and it did auto-detect mine correctly, and we have an overall quality slider as well. Simple, but sufficient for a game like this. Right, we're all set up, so let's dive in and see what Dropblox is all about. First and foremost, Dropblox is a physics-based puzzle game. The aim is simple: match the coloured blocks to customers of the same colour. Do this enough times to complete the level. Your target number of customers and current number of served customers are tracked at the top of the screen. Controls are also suitably simple. Everything is controlled with the mouse, and you can click and drag blocks to where you want. You'll be needing to move them around a lot, as the blocks constantly fall from the sky, so keeping things somewhat organised is quite important. I'm not sure where the boxes are coming from though. Is it Santa outsourcing parcel delivery to the local post office? Or is this insight into the life of an Amazon worker during the typical December holiday period? Well, unfortunately, what should be the unique gimmick of the game, the physics-based movement, is also the downfall of the game. The premise itself is fairly solid, but the way it's implemented leads to more frustration than enjoyment. Let me show you why. If I pick up this block and want to move it to the back of the room to use later, I just click it and drag it where I want it to go. The issue is that your mouse moves on a 2D surface, and the game is trying to position the block in 3D space. So when you try to move the block backwards, it also tries to lift it upwards. Trying to bring it towards you, well, that's also downwards. Unless you keep the blocks on the ground, it's very easy to accidentally throw them outside of the room. And in the first few levels, if this happens even once, the entire level resets. Now, while this is frustrating, it's not game-breaking, but it is an annoyance to work around, and it breaks the core gameplay loop. Thankfully, the developers understand game design. Rather than introducing all the different elements of the game at once, they have added them in as the levels progress. Level 1 starts out with the basics, letting you understand the core gameplay loop of moving and delivering boxes to the correct customers. Level 2 adds in a second, detached room and suggests lifting and shifting blocks between the rooms as needed. Unfortunately, due to the aforementioned controls, this is basically an impossible task, as any block you try to move will more often than not simply end up going out of bounds and causing a reset. The best way to beat this level is to simply wait for the correct colour block to land in the correct room. This means it could take a while to beat, as the colours are randomised, so it might take some time before you get the colour you need. With some patience though, it's not too much of an issue. Now, level 3 introduces the grey blocks. These are simultaneously a nuisance and a core element of beating the later levels. Grey blocks can't be given to customers and will turn any coloured block they touch into a grey block, essentially spreading their greyness like a virus. If you're not keeping an eye on things, they can quickly convert all your coloured blocks, leaving you with a bit of a mess to clean up. When two grey blocks collide the first time, they will crack. When cracked grey blocks collide, they will crumble into dust. This actually ends up being a great way to clear out a room and make some space in the later stages when the pace of blocks falling down vastly outpaces the number of customers to serve. Level 6 introduces white blocks. These are the most boring of blocks and are there just to take up space and get in the way. They can't be matched to customers, and so the best thing to do with them is to just put them into a corner like a small child being punished. Level 7 introduces heart blocks and a heart meter. Up until now, if a single block fell outside of the rooms, you would fail the level and have to restart. Now, hearts can be gained by right-clicking the heart boxes, and you will lose a heart every time a box is lost. Like all of the coloured blocks, the appearance of a heart box is completely randomised, but they also don't seem to appear at a lower rate than the usual blocks do. Because of this, I think there was a bit of an unintended consequence. Remember those white blocks that we were just stacking in the corner because they're basically useless? Well, we've now been incentivized to yeet the white boxes out of the room whenever I'm full on hearts and have unopened heart boxes just waiting for me. Goodbye and good riddance. Level 10 introduces the final mechanic, the rainbow block. These can be given to any customer without having to worry about matching colours. Not a bad concept, but the implementation is where this falls down. They are simply far too common for their own good. There aren't any more mechanics introduced after this point, but they do throw in some extra large white boxes as obstacles to work around. Again, because of the excessive number of heart boxes, these are quickly tossed aside. By the time the final level arrives, the number and speed at which the boxes are arriving is borderline ludicrous, and the most effective means of passing a level is just to yeet things aside and spam the heart boxes, while just giving the customers the rainbow boxes, because by this stage, they are so frequent, why would you bother trying to give them the correct colour? After a total of 15 levels, we are returned to the title screen. No new modes or special unlocks to be found, sadly. There are a total of 7 achievements to earn, and you'll likely get them all in the process of beating the game. I'm just glad to have a departure from the several thousands we had recently. What does make me a bit sad though is that while it took me less than an hour to beat the game, less than half of the people that tried this game made it past level 5. Heck, 10% of the players didn't finish the first level. There is a solid game idea here, but the implementation of the core physics mechanics let it down. If we could use the mouse wheel to adjust the height of a block, it would have made for a much smoother experience. The overall physics also need to be improved, as I noticed you could pull a block out from underneath another one, and the one on top would just stay hovering until you moved it manually. The appearance rates for the rainbow and heart boxes also need adjusting, as they are simply too common and therefore overpowered. There's also some other ideas that would have been fantastic to implement, like give me paint that I can drag blocks through and allow me to change their colour, or a block that works like the grey block but it changes any block it touches to its own colour. Or make it so that customers can form a queue and the game fails when the queue gets too long. Maybe have some levels that are on a time limit. There are so many more creative things that this game could have done in order to elevate it. I would have actually liked to have seen a multiplayer mode of this. Let me rack up a chain of served customers and cause an avalanche of blocks on my opponent, or items that redirect my customers to them, causing their queue to back up and make them fail. Overall, Dropblocks just feels like it has too many missed opportunities. Dropblocks is unironically the best game that I've played so far in the series. Now, that doesn't mean it's good, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the most complete product we've seen so far that feels like an actual game, even if it's a very short and frustrating experience. This is a game that has potential, but none of it is realised. In the end, playing Dropblocks is sadly a bit of a chore because you're fighting with the physics-based controls the entire time. After the first few levels, I just wanted the game to be over, and it was really only a morbid curiosity that was pushing me through to the end. I wanted to be having fun, But when you're spending the entire time playing thinking about what the game could have been, the enjoyment vanishes fairly quickly. As the final nail in the coffin, it's simply too short for the price. Yet another game that will be going on the refund list. So, my final rating for Dropblocks is an "I'm dead inside, but here's a fake customer service smile because it's the holiday season" out of 10. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like to appease the YouTube gods. And if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, take care.